Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com on Roku, Dwyer Boxing News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. There's a weight dispute. I understand Richard Schaefer of Golden Boy has issued statements to the contrary. But there's a big weight dispute going on right now during the negotiations for the Floyd Mayweather-Saul Alvarez fight. Floyd and Saul Alvarez both hold a share of the belt at 154 pounds. Right? Alvarez wants the fight to take place at that weight. He apparently hasn't made 147 for 3 years. Floyd Mayweather, who also holds a belt at 147. In other words, understand, at 36, Floyd Mayweather right now holds belts in 2 different weight classes. Floyd Mayweather would rather the fight be at 147, where he feels most comfortable. Now, viewers here online have asked me what I think. I am on record as saying that I'd love to see a Floyd Mayweather-Saul Alvarez fight. But to me, it's clear that if this fight takes place, given that Canelo's in his early 20s and given that it's Floyd Mayweather, who's being discussed as being one of the best in history, it's clear to me that if you're going to take on a living legend, that fight has got to be at the living legend's weight. The fight has to be at 147. I don't want to catch weight. I don't want anything else like that. Understand, this fight is for legacy. If you want to be the first man to beat Floyd Mayweather, quite frankly, you've got to fight Floyd on his own terms. Here's what I don't believe. I don't believe it's worth it to have Mayweather, who apparently when he fought Miguel Cotto came in weighing 151. Understand, when Floyd Mayweather fights at 154, he's typically the lighter guy in the ring. I don't believe it's worth it to have Floyd show up to fight Canelo at 151 and then have Canelo in the ring at 170 pounds on fight night. If a 170 pounder beats Floyd Mayweather, isn't that a hollow victory? Would you really consider that a fight between peers worthy of kids down the road looking back in history and saying this is when Floyd Mayweather lost? The person who beats Mayweather is going to have to do it on skill, not weight. I know there are a bunch of people out there who say weight doesn't matter. They're kidding themselves. That's why we have weight classes. It'd be preposterous to think about Vladimir Klitschko fighting Saul Alvarez, right? And just having it be open weight. And so I believe that Alvarez is going to have to lose the weight to make 147 on the day of the weigh-in. Understand, even if he makes 147 on the day of the weigh-in, there's little doubt that on the night of the fight, he's going to outweigh Floyd Mayweather by several pounds. Dare I say it? If Saul Alvarez makes 147 for the weigh-in, he'll likely weigh more than 154 on fight night. So we're really talking about how big an advantage Saul Alvarez is going to have weight-wise in the fight. All the Mayweather people are saying is, we don't want him to have as big an advantage as he would have if the weigh-in is at 154 and he's able to come in weighing 168 or 170. Understand? He's weighed 167 on the night of a fight at junior middle, right? That's historical fact, right? He's weighed 167, right? Understand that super middleweights limit is 168. In other words, Saul Alvarez has come in for a fight weighing as much as Andre Ward, right? And so my point is, in a fight for history, let's have as level a playing field as possible. We all know watching this video that Canelo's going to outweigh Floyd. We all know it. Let's try to make that number as low as possible. Let's force challengers to Floyd Mayweather's crown to actually beat him on boxing ability and skill. Let's not have them beat him on weight class. And so, put me in the Floyd Mayweather Sr. school of thought. They asked Sr. about whether it was fair that Canelo be forced to drop to 147 and how he expected Canelo to lose the weight to get to 147, right? And Senior said what really should be said in the public, right? I'm saying it right now. Who cares how Canelo gets to 147? He's the one who wants to challenge Floyd for history, right? For that privilege. One way or another, he needs to get to 147 at the time of the weigh-in. And he needs to do it legally, not with diuretics, right? That's the point. You know, to uphold the integrity of the sport, let's force challengers to the throne to actually come in within the weight range of the guy on the throne, right? And quite frankly, nobody should waste any time arguing with the guy over his ability to drop to 147, right? Manny Pacquiao forced Oscar De La Hoya to come in at 147 when they fought, right? The point is this: if you want to challenge Floyd Mayweather, you really do have to come in at 147. The fact that Mayweather has chosen to fight specific individuals at 154, and let's be clear historically, while Pacquiao forced De La Hoya to come down to 147, let's remember that when Mayweather fought De La Hoya, he didn't, right? Mayweather has taken the risks in the past. But now we have a situation in boxing where a few people, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Saul Alvarez, are able to yo-yo in weight to such an extent that they're obliterating the weight classes, right? For a historical fight like this, you know, I believe that if the living legend says, I want to fight you at 147, I believe that's where the fight has to be. Now let's talk about history. I'll agree that when you go back in history, some of the ghosts that Floyd Jr. is chasing, namely Sugar Ray Robinson, fought guys who weighed a lot more than them, right? The fight that Ray Robinson lost, that first Jake LaMotta fight, Jake LaMotta comes in weighing much more than Ray Robinson, right? Ray Robinson, of course, fought Joey Maxim for the light heavyweight championship. That was Ray's first fight at light heavyweight, right? And so, yes, guys in history have taken risks. There's no question about it, right? But I believe the choice is Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s on whether he wants to fight a guy in his early 20s who has gained, not might gain, but has gained more than 10 pounds between the weigh-in and the time of the fight, right? Given that Floyd is unbeaten, and given that the way the negotiations are going, Floyd would likely be the lighter man in the ring regardless, right? I think it's only fair to say I'm drawing the line at 147. You have to make the weight at the weigh-in, right? Lord knows if Canelo does that, I still believe Canelo would, weigh probably 10 pounds heavier minimum on fight night. Let's also talk about the alternatives, because these things don't happen in a vacuum. What's the better risk-reward proposition? If Floyd is going to fight someone at 154 pounds, is the risk-reward better for him to fight Saul Alvarez at 154, or is it better and more historical for him to fight Sergio Martinez, the middleweight champion, at 154, right? I would argue, quite frankly, that a fight against Sergio Martinez, who, in my opinion, is one of the two best fighters in the world right now, pound for pound. I don't put Saul Alvarez on that pedestal, right? I believe a fight against Sergio Martinez, quite frankly, would be the better fight for boxing fans. Much more intrigue, much more historical. In fact, quite frankly, both of those guys, Floyd and Sergio, are over 35 years old, right? Sergio Martinez, if you look at his body of work, if you look at the unbeaten fighters he has beaten, Darren Barker, for example, right? Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., for example. If you look at who he's beaten, and if you've looked at the time period over which he has beaten them, an argument can be made that Sergio Martinez is very close to becoming one of the best middleweights in history, right? I view the top middleweights in history, and you can contradict me, obviously, as being Carlos Monzon, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Bernard Hopkins. Right now, understand, history matters a great deal to Sergio Martinez. His nickname is Maravilla, Spanish for marvelous, right? Hagler's nickname, right? So I believe Sergio Martinez understands history. Carlos Monzon, like Martinez, is a fellow Argentinian, right? I believe Martinez understands, too, that Monzon, Hagler, and Hopkins dominated the division for so long that as brilliant as Martinez has been, he still has some work to do to put his name on that division's Mount Rushmore. Right now, even though the fight would be at 154, presumably, my point to you, or perhaps maybe Floyd's willing to come up to 160 to challenge Martinez, all I'm saying is that is the kind of fight, in my opinion, that carries more water at this stage than a fight between Mayweather and Saul Alvarez. And so it's a different cost-benefit analysis. At 147, Saul Alvarez might be the best possible historical opponent for Floyd Mayweather, right? At 154, it might be someone else. It might be Sergio Martinez. Let me also point out, too, that I know there's some other people out there who, quite frankly, I think would give Mayweather a hard time in the ring, namely Amir Khan, who would love the opportunity to do just that. I agree, style-wise, Khan against Mayweather, I think's a good fight, right? Khan knows how to use length. Khan has hand speed Robert Guerrero did not have. The problem, though, is right now we're not in the prime part of Khan's career. Khan has had some hiccups. He was knocked down in his last fight. He got beaten up by Danny Garcia before that, right? You want a guy who's peaking right now. And when you look in the landscape and you see that Sergio Martinez has not lost for quite some time, and when you see that Saul Alvarez has never lost, quite frankly, there's some hotter opponents for Floyd to consider right now than Amir Khan, who stylistically would give Floyd all he could handle. right? So my point is simply, as we think about Floyd's next opponent, just understand the cost-benefit analysis at 147 is different than the cost-benefit analysis at 154. The primary opponents change, right? Mayweather does have to think about himself at his level. You know, the belts, quite frankly, don't even matter. He's wearing the belt that does. Pound for pound king with the public, right? And so my point is simply this. Let's not criticize a fighter who's willing to fight a young lion and who's willing to be outweighed by the young lion on the night of the fight, right? Just understand, whether he fights Canelo at 154 or 147, Canelo's going to have the size advantage in the ring. So it's just a matter of how much of a size advantage Canelo is allowed to have, right? Quite frankly, Canelo's going to have to make some sacrifices if he wants to be the opponent. He doesn't have the leverage after a few years in the game to say to an all-time great, you've got to make this fight at the weight I want, and then on fight night, I'm going to come in weighing 10 pounds heavier than that weight. That doesn't work, right? You don't make demands of the king when the king has other options. Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com. And let me just say this too. I know there's a catchweight crowd out there. I understand right now there is some grumbling about Bernard Hopkins possibly fighting Carl Froch at a catchweight, and both guys seem open to it, right? I frown on catchweights. I like the idea of guys fighting at traditional weights. I think tradition, quite frankly, helps the sport of boxing, right? You know, it's great to be able to talk about the welterweight division, the middleweight division, right? Let's not dilute the conversation by saying the catchweight fights at 150 pounds. That just doesn't have the cachet to me. Let me hear from you on that. Thanks for watching.